in the town of Asotin along the Snake River in the southern portion of Washington. It's close to where Idaho is and northern Oregon, kind of down here in the tri-states area. And gassing up, getting ready to take a good day ride. We're going to kind of shamrock it, hit a bunch of roads and swing back. We're going to spend the night outside of town at this place called the Rendezvous. That's what it's called, the Rendezvous. And make a day of ride in the Pacific Northwest up here. I'm excited with these group of guys, the Mild Hogs, Wild Rose Squad, a little bit of all the above there. So that's what they call it. So gassing up here. So get on the road.
And of course, it starts raining again. We're going to ride a section of road out of Asotin that gets pretty twisty. The guys call it like 7 miles worth of the Washington tail of the dragon, so it should be entertaining. Let's give it a try. We'll try to keep up with them. If not, we'll just ride our own ride.
So what the fellas didn't tell me was they were taking me into Idaho. I was excited. That means I was going to get to ride 3 states: Washington, Idaho, and Oregon. So, as it seems like every morning for most of the beginning of the trip, we started in rain. But this Sedici Marco mesh gear, man, I never got wet. It was awesome. A little plug for that by Cycle Gear. I actually, as you can tell, I had mounted a camera on the back, which wasn't very smooth. It kept bouncing around on a suction. The better one was this one, which was a cheek mount that I was using. So we actually crossed from Asotin over into Idaho and heading up toward 2 roads that were going to be rather infamous. The further we went into Oregon, away from the Snake River, the more rain we were going to end up in. We were headed towards something called Winchester Grade and then the Old Spiral Highway. You can read about both of those in the article. One of them was kind of a disaster. The other one was pretty fascinating ride, and then we got slammed with rain at the top. This is the beginning of what's called Winchester Grade. Some of the Wild Rose Squad guys take off first, and then a group of guys behind me with the Mild Hogs. I'm still thinking that this suction mount is working well. Turns out, man, that thing started bouncing all over the place and started pointing skyward, so trust me, there's not a whole lot of footage of this. We revert back to just a cheek mount here in a moment or two. The further we went up this road, the worse the conditions got, the colder the temperature got, and the worse the road got. To where we crossed the county line and wasn't even center lines or outside lines anymore. It was horrible. By the time we all got to the top, we were just glad to be done with Winchester Grade. Been there, done that, don't want the t-shirt. So just riding out across the countryside after we got off of Winchester Grade, just the rolling prairies and hill country of Idaho. It was still raining on us, but it was a good time just to relax because I was pretty keyed up after Winchester Grade. That thing was very nerve-wracking. I was glad to be off of Winchester Grade, for sure. Definitely beautiful country. Some of the guys actually wanted to split off and head back toward Rendezvous, and Ted and Dave and Trevor and Aaron convinced me to ride with them over toward the Old Spiral Highway and make our way up that. Old Spiral Highway is interesting. I'd heard of it before, didn't really know much about it. I remember reading once that it was actually the inspiration for the song Hot Rod Lincoln, which if you listen in the song, he talks about climbing up Grapevine Hill. But the inspiration for the song, I guess, of a couple of old hot rods was this road right here. Still a bit drizzly and rainy. Not as bad though. I was finally relaxed enough to say, okay, if I'm going to ride any road, I got to ride the Hot Rod Lincoln Road. And it wound its way on up. The further up it went, got a little more twisty and a little more fun. We picked up Trevor right here. He had ridden on ahead a little bit and was waiting on us while we were setting up my GoPro camera here on my cheek. And then on we went. And it's a good thing I didn't try to keep up with them, because the higher we went and the deeper the gorges you could see over the sides, I decided I'm going to ride my ride, and that is always advisable. Don't ever try to keep up with the fast boys in a group. If you're uncomfortable with that, you ride your ride. And here I was, day 2 of riding on this big 1300 ST 1300, still trying to get used to it. Yeah, we're headed for all those hills up there. And those guys raced on ahead because they know the road, and I took my time, got to know it, stayed comfortable, didn't really have any pucker moments, so it was good. A lot of beautiful scenic overlooks on this too. I was trying to imagine what it would be like to have raced this road, like in the song Hot Rod Lincoln, all the way to the top. Just crazy to think about, especially some of these, some of the curves further up. You can see that there's rain starting to kick in again right here. We're getting wet again. Further up we went on Old Spiral Highway, the more rain set in on us. You can hear it on the GoPro too. By the way, the 3 guys that were ahead of me, Ted and Dave and Trevor, were on Honda VFR 800s. Light, quick, nimble, and those guys were good on it. Remember the song the guy's talking about up against the guardrails? This must have been what he meant right here. Passing cars like they was standing still. Later on that evening, we went back and reflected on the day. This was actually the overlook at the end of the day. That's the Idaho side and of the Snake River Canyon, Snake River Gorge. It was one heck of a ride.